LinkedIn Live, welcome. How's everybody? Hope everyone's doing great today. Akshay, it's great to see you.
Great to see you as well, Lucas. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is exciting. This is a first for Akshay and I. We get to do a lot of running around and meeting with people and presenting and things like that, Akshay. But I think LinkedIn Live is a first for us today.
It is, I don't want to date myself, but when I tell my daughter I'm doing this, she was like, "Oh my God, you're becoming cool now," is what I heard. So I don't know if those were the exact words she used, but that's what I heard in that. So it's me being cool dad now doing LinkedIn lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll own that also. I'll see what my daughter has to say later about it. So yeah, so whether you're joining us, for lunch or part of your morning routine, we're really glad that you're with us today. And we're excited to chat through a really interesting topic, which is the future of AEC growth, and specifically how AI is playing a role in those things. And Akshay, I know we were chatting earlier. I think the goal for our conversation and for the folks that are joining us today is we would love for people to walk away with a few concrete things that you can be thinking about in your firm as to what steps you can take with AI in support of your growth. And so, Why don't we start here, Akshay? So, as we were chatting earlier, AI is everywhere right now. It's kind of dominated the conversation in many circles. But from your perspective, we got talking about there's kind of general AI and the Chat GPTs and the Geminis of the world. And one of the things that we're seeing in the industry is a move towards more purposeful AI. What do you feel like that means for architecture, engineering, and construction?
I think every technology goes through phases. If you look back and look at even things like email as a standard thing, it pretty much starts sometimes with consumers in that way, making it more bigger and public. And then over a period of time, adoption happens within businesses and corporates in that manner. And there's always a longer curve it takes a businesses and corporates to truly evaluate it. And if you look at historical trends about technology adoption within businesses, two industries that fall the farthest on the laggard side of adopting things, construction would be one of those two. I won't name the other one. But the laggardness of adoption has always been the case. But there's something unique that I'm noticing about AI in AEC. I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of our customers, a lot of people in the industry, a lot of people who are in the marketplace, and in the last 2 years, I've seen a true discussion happening within the AEC community about what AI could mean. And I feel one of the first times from a technology perspective, there's a lot of positive discussion and communication that is happening to make that happen. And in those conversations, what I've heard and seen is the original part of the conversations were very generic, mostly generic. They were, how can I help to write me an email? When I use the word generic, I mean it wasn't specific only to the industry. It was tasks that are performed across industries. Things like help me write better emails is a common thing. Help me record my meetings and help me take actionable notes out of those meetings.
Yeah.
And those are the things initial on that a lot of people started doing. And what I would recommend in the spirit of what are the few things you should be doing, those would be the two things I would add to that list, which is, by the way, if you're not using things like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini to help you respond to emails, help to summarize emails, you do that. That's one. Second, I would say is use them. There are tools out there that can help you with recording your meetings and taking actionable notes. So those could be things, those two things could be a great things you could be doing. I started doing that in the last 6 to 9 months, and I've been able to substantially save a lot of time in just spending time reading emails or thinking about what I need to write, but having a starting point to do that itself.
Yeah.
Now, transition to the sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
So transitioning to the purposeful thing, I think, Lucas, the purposeful conversations are now coming up. And I think what people are doing is they're done with the generic part and they're like now saying, okay, now let's talk about some specific things, specific areas that are specific to us, and what are we going to do? And one of the most common ones that I've seen, which are very more purposeful to that, have been around proposal writing, is the most common use case that get talked about a lot. We spend in the industry a lot of hours working on collating data or even writing the proposals. And there is a lot of aspect that AI can provide, especially generative AI can provide in that area. So I think purposeful AI for AEC is starting with those conversations. The other examples are safety. Safety has become a really critical area where AI in AEC is getting used now. I was in the AGC conference last week, and I had I saw the technology which allowed you looking at a camera and it's recording every aspect of it and generating real time safety precautions and things that might happen, not just that have happened, and giving those kind of alerts. So that's an example of purposeful AI for the industry for the safety purposes. Those will be two good examples, Lucas, to think about.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I mean, kind of in my circles, I was working with a firm last week, and kind of to your point about email, like they were looking at moving from email to using something like Teams or Slack, to just kind of change the way they communicate and make their communication more fluid. And to your point, with AI, it's just like taking that step into using a new platform for communication and just starting to use it and experiment with it. It's kind of the same thing with AI. I was just talking with actually a friend of mine a couple days ago, and he was asking me like, "Hey, what are some of the first steps I can take?" And I said, "Look, just use it. Start using it. Start relying on it for small administrative tasks." And then with the purposeful side, it's interesting. We've asked, in the Inspire report, we've asked for 2 years now, like what area of the business AEC firms are looking to AI to help solve problems. And now for the second year running, we've heard business development and marketing is number one. And the second one, to your point, is IT. And so whether that be through, for risk mitigation, safety, things like that. Yeah, I do. I see the industry starting to move the conversation to more very specific areas where it can help. From your experience and the people you're talking to, what do you find are some of the barriers for people to taking those first steps? And I've got some thoughts on this too, but I'd like to hear your perspective.
Good question. There is the initial reaction has been mixed with people about I'm scared of AI or I don't know what to do. And I think when they're past those stages of I want to embrace AI, if you take those away as the barriers, and like if you take those away, and now people are talking about and realizing in order to take advantage of artificial intelligence, you need a single source of truth. You need content. You need data allocated in a single place in some ways, because the problem is if you want to use AI to tell you about how are you doing with your projects, let's just say that, how many resources are being used and who's available, right? If you're not capturing your resource information in a place, and if it's only sitting in emails and ad hoc ways of managing that, then you're not even able to have the single space of truth to understand how your resources have been used historically. And not knowing that, there is not a data set on which AI can now do its learning, because AI is nothing but an ability to take a data, provide it with some patterns, learn from it, and give you the intelligence from it. So the source data is a critical angle. And I think, Lucas, what I've heard from most of the people is the biggest barrier they're feeling is they're behind in having sources of data that they can feed to these AI engines in some cases. In cases, don't get me wrong, It's not that people don't have tools and technologies. People do have the tools and technologies, but they've not been capturing the right data, even in those tools and technologies over a period of time, and they don't have the richness of historical data to use in that manner. And that's a broader assumption, but I would say that's the number one barrier that I've heard.
No, I was talking with an SMPS group last night, and we were talking about the importance of data that you can trust, data that you know is accurate, and there's a comfort level with data that only comes from using it, interacting with it, things like that. And one of the comments that was made last night was like, we don't have but so many years of information to go on. Some firms have been, capturing and keeping things clean and things like that for a decade, where other firms, let's be honest, there's been a lot of great decisions made, but kind of made based on expertise and intuition and things like that. And I see firms that, while they want to continue to rely on that and should, they want to also bolster that with good data, and that can take time. Another thing that I've seen firms kind of struggle through as well, and love your perspective here, is who do I need to have at the table to have the conversation about AI? Because you're right, you have your AI kind of AI proponents and your AI opponents. And the way that I typically kind of, lean people towards is, well, you should have all views at the table, so you can have, a dialogue to address the concerns, to understand the value, and take steps moving forward.
No, I think getting both the perspectives are important. And I would say the other part of the perspective is going to be about do both front of the house and the back of the house.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by that? Like, there is part of your firms, there are people in your firm who are in the front, which means they're talking to the clients, they're talking to the other partners, they are out in the field in there. So that's who I would refer to in the front of the house. Your business development people, your executives, your project managers, those will be those people. The second perspective comes from people who are sitting in the back of the house, who don't do a direct interaction with those. Your accounting team, sometimes your marketing team, sometimes your information technology team, your HR team. Those are the people who are supporting the activities that are happening in the front of the house, and they have that. And I think thinking about from those two perspectives and bringing those perspectives to the table is also an interesting perspective, because AI can help you not just on the front of the house, but can also help with the back part of it. And both perspectives would be interesting one to bring to the table as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so go ahead.
Yeah. Now I was gonna ask this question for a friend on the side. The reason I'm saying that is because I get this question asked from me all the time. We are a technology company. We are in the AEC space. We hear talking about AI, and one of the questions that I guess asked all the time is, "Hey, as Unanet, what are you doing in the AI space? What are you working on? Because you're the tech company. What are you doing to help in that area?" And that's a question that comes up a lot. And the way that the answer I give that is, we think about this in two buckets. AI can help you be more efficient by taking away the mundane tasks that you're performing, so that you can get freed up from that mundane tasks and actually can do, strategic things in that manner. The second area is, so this will be more around cost efficiencies. This should help you become more efficient by taking those mundane tasks away. Second things AI can help you with is helping you win better and the right projects. One of the areas where our industry has a big struggle on is about where we need to grow and what kind of projects you need to work on. And that is the second area on that. And those are the two biggest areas that we are taking on and starting to use AI to help from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's dig into that second piece a little bit and talk about growth. Um, where do you feel like growth is being hindered today for AEC? What's standing in the way of that?
That's such an interesting question. I've been on the Unanet site for 6.5 years, and I've spoken to a lot of AEC people. And when I started in this industry, I come from a software world. For me, the hindrance to growth is about how many customers you can get in front of. The hindrance is growth is not to execute, because a software company, you can have 5,000 people using it. You don't need 5,000 people to support the 5,000 companies that are out there. But in the AEC world, it's very different. AEC world is about providing service that needs people, that needs human being, that needs resources to do that. So biggest hindrance to growth in the AEC world has always been and will always be is how many resources can you bring on to actually support all the projects. There's no shortage in today's world. There's no shortage of work out there from the AEC firm perspective. There is enough work out there to get. The real hindrance to growth is the ability to execute on that work because of the resourcing constraints that come along with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you talk with anyone in the past 18 months, especially, I mean, I've been working with companies for about 15 years, and I don't know if I've ever heard someone not answer, how's business going? How's your, I always hear like, we're completely busy, we're turning work away, we're looking at emerging markets. It's always a leaning forward into growth. I would agree with that. That resourcing, especially right now, it's a major constraint. Um,
Then,
the good thing about that is that I feel like there's two ways that you can really um, affect change in that area. One is through efficiencies. Are we utilizing our resources the best we can? Are the right people on the right projects, things like that. And then I feel like the other area is not wasting time. We spend a lot of time chasing, after new opportunities or new markets that we're not ready for. They're not going to perform well for us as a business, things like that.
yeah, and to tie into it, what are we doing about that? One of our initiatives, we call it Opportune AI, and I'm going to ask Lucas to give you a little preview of that. But what are we doing with that is we are building AI tools and capabilities within our platform so that we can help business developers, seller doers, marketing and proposal people, as they are looking at a pursuit at any point of the life cycle, they can get insights to decide whether this is the right pursuit to go after or not. So the earlier you can know that information, better judgment you can make whether you should spend time on that or not. And AI can actually help you with providing that intelligence around that. And we're doing that today. We started working on this last year. We had a customer advisory board that we put together where we asked this question about what AI can do. And we have been working on building AI tools and enhancing AI tools within our platform. And we are at a stage where we are under development. And Lucas is going to show you a quick preview of what this Opportune AI could do for AEC firms.
Yeah, it's super exciting, Akshay. As we talk to customers, we've come to understand that there's a period of time early in the pursuit stage that's really critical for determining whether or not we're going to allocate resources to go after this, opportunity, early in the lead stage. And so, what Opportune AI is going to do is, if I've, driven by a job site and I see a company, logo on on the outer fence, I can say, oh, that looks like something, we could participate in. I can immediately get served up insights about that company. How many opportunities have we pursued with them? What's our win rate? What's our capture rate? Do we have any projects in process with this firm? And get some recommendations like, hey, this could be a good company to work with. In addition to that, there's a few other questions again early on that I want to know about this pursuit. Things like, have we done similar projects to this project? Who might we be competing with for the project? And then what resources I might want to put on the pursuit. And Opportune will serve all of that up in a way that you can see very quickly that, hey, this potential project, you've done 5 just like them. They've performed really well. This was your cost. This is, how the project performed. And not only that, you'll be able to see like, people you might be likely to compete with. And, when we compete with, Glacier Labs in this case, we're on 13 similar pursuits. We have a great win rate or a poor win rate. So we'll be able to know heading into it, essentially the best projects to pursue. And then assuming it's a good one to pursue, who do we have with capacity who's got good experience in these areas that we can add to the pursuit and take those next steps as it's a good fit.
Thank you, Lucas. This is, as Lucas is showing, this is under development project that we are working on right now with a goal to release in the next couple of months a early version for some of our customers. We're going to keep refining it and keep making it available for all our customers over a period of time. What you saw today there, you could get the data from our system today, but it requires somebody to write a report. It's required somebody to go somewhere else. The beauty of the AI is that we can take all the data that we have and bring it up in a manner that you can surface to you from that perspective. And this is where the uniqueness of us thinking about AI isn't just about the LLM model and all that. It is also the user experience that comes with that AI. And that's where we have been devoting a lot of time on, because all the things can happen in the back, but if you can't surface it in the right place, in the right manner, then you're not going to be able to take a purpose of that. So this AI initiative takes a lot of things from a back-end perspective to surface from it there, but provides a user experience in the context of that opportunity at every pursuit life cycle so that you can go after that in that manner. Lucas, do you want to talk about the second?
Yeah, let's talk about the second one because it's going to kind of answer this question as well. So the question, can Opportune read the RFP? So Opportune AI won't read the RFP, but the second thing that we're working on will. And so, yeah, this is a great question. And we see this all the time, like, hey, I'm taking RFPs, I'm throwing them in ChatGPT, it's giving me a summary, things like that. And Nicole, if you want to go ahead and throw my slide up on the screen here. The second thing that we're working on is being very thoughtful and purposeful around the process of building proposals. And Alicia, to answer your question directly, Proposal AI will will read your RFP. It will look for requirements on that RFP, help you develop an outline, and get you to a first draft in typically 70% faster, so that your teams can spend more time kind of crafting your unique, kind of the uniqueness of your firm in the submittal. It'll allow you to focus more on that. And so you'll be able to have a full reference library. It'll shred through the RFP. It'll keep you compliant with the requirements of the RFP as well. And it does have the opportunity for you to kind of like interact in a chat manner. How many square feet have we worked on with this type of project? Things like that. So that's Proposal AI. And so similar to Opportune, this is something that we are rolling out over the next couple of months and working very closely with our customers on. So that's a great question. And thanks, Nicole. I think you can take our slide down.
And just to finish that thought on the Proposal AI, think about it as a RFP shredder. That's a really good way to put it. You put your RFPs in there and it'll give you the summary, but create a compliance metrics for you so that you don't miss anything. A lot of people are doing that manually today. That can be done, and then spit out a first draft that you can be using for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to learn about any of these things, Lucas, where can people go to learn about this? And I think there's another question from Angie also there.
Sure. Yeah, no, great question. And happy to chat costs and things like that. If you want to learn more and kind of continue the conversation, just drop a chat in the comment and we'll reach out and we can talk through some of those scenarios with you.
And Angie, yes, if you're an existing customer, these will be add-ons to the existing products that you have. And if you are not a customer, that you can purchase these things as an individual product as well. Like, for example, Proposal AI is available as a standalone product that you can buy without buying any other product as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Akshay, I know that we're down to our last couple minutes here. And if there are other questions, Nicole, feel free to toss them out there. But let's talk through a couple key takeaways. We started our time saying we'd love for people to walk away with some concrete next steps. I'll maybe we can ping pong this, Akshay. I'll share one of my key takeaways, and then you can go ahead. I think one of my key takeaways is that we are seeing more and more how AI can really help with specific use cases for AEC. And to me, that's a really exciting takeaway because I can now go beyond kind of generic LLMs like ChatGPT and start really affecting change in very specific areas of my business. So that's probably one takeaway from my perspective.
That makes sense. I would say the other takeaway is think about AI as a dumb intern. Okay. The AI will do what you tell it to do. And it will do better if you ask the right questions and the right tasks that it needs to perform. That's one. Second, as a dumb intern, if you go and say, find me this thing from my library of things I have, and if you don't have your library of things, it can't find anything for you. What it will do as a dumb intern, it might lie to you and give you something that you actually don't have. So think about it as a dumb intern, which is limited to how you ask the question and what data it has to look into it. So get better at what questions you need to ask the intern, and that will do that. But the second important thing I said there is your intern, your AI can't do anything about it if your data is not organized, if your data is not in one place. So start working on getting your core data in a one place and start making sure that you're capturing the data in a singular manner so that AI / the dumb intern can actually have a source to go to.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Akshay. I think in our last minute, the final takeaway is, hopefully we've both unlocked cool dad status with our individual teenage daughters by doing LinkedIn Live. And if you're a Unanet client on the call today, we hope to see you in Atlanta here in just a couple weeks. We'll be talking more about these kinds of things and all the other exciting initiatives going on at Unanet. So, Akshay, I'll give you the final word, but I'll at least sign off for myself saying thank you very much.
I would love to get my cool dad status. So hit a comment on it and say if you have any questions. More than happy to help answer that. So thank you for everybody for joining here. Thanks a lot.